To the P to the G plus the 1 and the 3, you're listening to Wolfie D. I want you to listen to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
For those who don't know now, you know, baby. This is Hot Rod Biggs, Jared, Jimmy Street. We're going to take them to the limit one more time, baby, right here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. And it is me, your host, Jimmy Street, as always. And guys, I hope you all are having an awesome day. I know I am. And today we have a very, very cool show. One that I'm sure surprised at least a couple of you out there that we were able to make this one happen. Ladies and gentlemen, today on the show, as you read on the welcome mat, the one and only Wolfie D is on the show. That's right. My old podcast buddy from Live and in Color with Wolfie D, the guy that I started this whole podcasting thing with, Wolfie D. Yeah. We've recently reconnected, and honestly, I cannot wait to talk to him and just, cover some things. And this one today, guys, is not really going to be a traditional Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast episode. This one is going to be more like a final tribute to the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. This has been a long time coming, and this is the one that the listeners of that podcast, I know most of you out there were probably listening to that show as well. Put me on the map, let's just say that. But, we're going to be covering that. We'll be covering the ups, the downs, and why it ended, and we'll give you all that information. I think it'll be a good conversation for both of us. So hang on for that. It'll be just a little bit. We'll have him on. But before we do, I got to cover a few more things. Of course, last episode, we had the always awesome This Month in Wrestling History, episode 10 with Quinton Quarisma. Quinton always brings it. This month, of course, he was talking about April and so many cool things, Crockett Cups, WrestleManias, and all that. So anyway, y'all check that out if you haven't already. And it looks like from the listenership that you have, let us know what you think. Quinton always does a great job. And to continue on, this weekend, guys, it's this weekend. Our guest a couple weeks ago, the one and only Paul Diamond, is going to be on Captain's Corner's Facebook page. And he is hosting a Paul Diamond happy hour virtual signing on Saturday, May 2nd. That's this Saturday, y'all. Also, if you missed the signing on Facebook, you can see Paul in person at the KNS WrestleFest Spring Slam on May 3rd from 12 to 4 at the Knights of Columbus building in Lynbrook, New York. But most importantly, guys, get on that Facebook page the night before. Nick always does a great job. It'll be similar to our podcast interview because he asks some great questions, deep dive stuff too. He doesn't just play around. Y'all check that out. Make sure you go check out the Captain's Corner Tales YouTube page as well. Go ahead and hit a subscribe and follow and all that for Nick as well. Captain's Corner has been such an important part of my podcasting time. I'd love to say that we can help them out too, So anyway, next up, guys, it's the Austin Idol Power Hour podcast episode 3. That was the Battle Within. I hope y'all enjoyed that. That dropped on Tuesday. Of course, it's in video too. Austin is spreading his wisdom. And this one, of course, was called The Battle Within, which can cover so many topics, and Austin does it so well. So y'all check that out. It is right here on the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling feed. All right, guys. I want to say this, and this one is kind of, I would say, off the cuff a little bit, but recently at the Right Way reunion, our good friend Shane puts that on, and all of our good buddies are there. A lot of former guests go to that reunion. Shane Morton, Rick Reynolds, Ben Jordan, the Devils, so many guys. I mean, Steve Neely, just so many names and people that we've had on our show. But the hosts of Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling were presented with an award, and I feel incredibly bad that I was not able to make it. Quinton, of course, was there, and he was able to accept the award on our behalf. But this award is called the Sammy Manier Unsung Hero Award. And it says this person does whatever it takes to make the show happen. This person usually never gets the credit they deserve. This person does the job no one wants to do, but somebody has to. This person has the ability to be a ring general or a leader. This person is usually one of the first to the building and one of the last to leave. This person spends long hours, weeks before and weeks after finishing the product. This person is a selfless person, always putting someone or something in front of themselves. So, guys, thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. Whoever voted on this award, thank you immensely. It means so much to us. And I'm speaking for Quinton and Sheik as well. Guys, thank you all. I was floored. And I'm so sorry I missed it, but I was floored and I greatly appreciate it. So thank you so much for that, Shane, and all of the guys at the Right Way reunion. All right, guys, that is all I got. Now, this one is just solo today because it's it made more sense for me to do this one solo. Normally, I'll kick it over to something like, all right, next up, we've got Wolfie D. But instead, I think I'm going to do it this way. Hey, Wolfie D, hot tag. We'll be right back with more Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling after these messages.
Hey, my name is Tammy Reynolds. I am the wife of Forsaken Rick Reynolds, that super cool guy that everybody knows and loves. And I represent West Side Sauces. I make sauces, I bottle them, I seal them, I sell them. I have a hot honey sauce, I have a sweet sauce, I have a hot sauce, I have a white sauce that's so yummy you can use it on everything. They are absolutely amazing and I'm so proud of them. We make them from scratch. So go on our website, westsidesauces.com, check out our products, read about our story, and go online and order you some of these yummy sauces. And Rick actually uses all of the sauces because he is a die-hard smoker and griller, and so he likes really good sauces and rubs, and I make them, so how convenient is that for him? Go on our website, westsidesauces.com, order you some samples, and I think you'll thoroughly enjoy them. Thank you, guys. Be blessed.
Welcome once again to Live and in Color with Wolfie D and my man Jimmy across the street. Jimmy,
Hold up, dude. Where are you, man?
What do you mean? I'm where I always am.
Hold up. This is my show, man.
You got a show? You got a show? Damn, I wonder what you've been doing since I quit doing this shit.
You're funny, man. Okay. So no, man, that was awesome. I love that. Well, I tell you what, let me start it my way and see what you think, okay?
Maybe do it your way.
Yeah, maybe you like my way. Okay, all right, so your way is probably still better. All right, guys, we are back with the guest that you guys probably thought may not ever appear on the show. And not for any good reason, just you're going to be surprised. And obviously the surprise is gone now because the main man himself, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, is here today on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. Dude, I'm sure everyone is as shocked as you are to be here.
It's like Hulk Hogan just turned into the NWO sort of thing, right? Nobody saw it coming. And I say that because I was just actually sitting here watching that before me and you started recording. I was watching the Netflix documentary. I hadn't finished it yet, but that was the part that they were on, and when he turned and finally turned heel, and how the crowd reacted, and how everybody thought, "Holy cow," that type of thing. But yeah, so what's going on, Jimmy?
Not much, man. I just thought we'd do a nice little, episode today. I never got you on my show when we were running pretty hard back then, but I thought we could do top 10 reasons that Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast ended. No, I'm just kidding, man.
You had to give me time to write down some shit.
No, just kidding.
I think we just ran our course, man. You know what I mean? We did good. And everybody, that's the thing, man. People that talk to me about that show, there's a lot of people that don't realize we don't still do it. But anybody that has, man, I really liked y'all's show. Y'all had a great show, blah, blah, blah. I never really got, and maybe nobody would say it to my face or anything. I doubt that's the reason, but I just really never got negative feedback on it. We had good chemistry, we had good guests, and I think we made the show fun. And it lasted for, what did we do that for? 3 years?
Almost 4.
Yeah, almost 4 years. That's a long time. Once a week, to come up with new material and not get stale. And I thought we did a good job with it, man. And even in my book, I put you over, as I always have, to saying what a lot of work that you put into it. And we basically we used my name and used some of my connections to get the guests, and we just rolled with it. And when it came to the nuts and bolts and all that was you, man, putting it all together and staying up all night and editing and all that shit that you did, man. And like I said, in my book, I put you over for it, man. You probably thought I was going to knock you in my book, but I absolutely did not.
Well, we'll get to all that. Let's take this a little low and slow here, Wolfie D. But hey, man, I fully appreciate. Yeah, exactly. I fully appreciate what you just said right there, and we'll address all of that in due time. I promise. But I really do. That means a lot, and that's part of the reason I wanted you on today's show, because I do want to
put you over.
I mean, no, not to put me over, to put ourselves over here. Come on. So I'm gonna start the show like we always do. We're gonna go back in your career here. So after Rick Reynolds trained you, where'd you go after that?
And that thing, because I am going to use this time to promote my book. It has done very well. It has exceeded my expectations on sales, especially on Amazon, to where there's got to be people out there buying it that are not like on my Facebook and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it has really surpassed what I thought it would do, and it's got nothing but really good reviews. But yeah, that story there is talked about in there, and it goes very deep. And I'm going to bring this up, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead, but apparently, the documentary that was on Amazon that was done about me by the guy that I don't mention his name, the producer, and I use that term very loosely. It's now on YouTube, and I've been getting a lot of people, messaging me and stuff, going, "Hey man, I just watched your documentary on YouTube," and so you can watch it for free now. I just want to put this statement out there that at first I endorsed it, but then the guy stole from me. He lied to me and basically just insulted me as a human being. And just know that when you're watching that guy's making money off that, and I'm not. And so if you really want to do the Wolf Dog a favor, go to Amazon. A Tale of Two Wolves by Wolfie D is my book, 330 pages, autobiography. I detail everything that he missed in that book. Plus, I go in depth on a few things that he tried to put on there. So if you really want to know more and learn the real story from me, go to read my book.
Yeah, that's a good plug, Wolfie. A Tale of Two Wolves, right?
Yeah.
And anybody who knows you, that is a perfect title, bro. I mean, and I mean that I want to get into that a little later, if that's okay. But I like that you threw that plug there. So I just kind of want to start The story of Live in Color, we've told this many times. I called you. I said, hey, bro, you want to start a show? You were like, yeah. And you were like thinking like we were starting right then too. You were like, let's do it. You, like I've learned from many, many wrestlers, many dudes, many boys in the business, I have learned that all y'all want it yesterday.
Yeah.
You're like, when we starting? And I'm like, hold on. I wanted to make sure you were cool with it. Now I got to go learn how to do it.
Yeah.
and some of those early shows still kind of cringe a little because I just was like a dumb hillbilly Mark, and you're just like, hey man, what's going on? But it was cool. We had fun.
And when you asked me, and this is the honest to God's truth, when you asked me about that, I promise you, I had never listened to a wrestling podcast or any podcast for that matter. So it was all new to me. I was like, okay, yeah, what do we do? But I was down with it. I mean, you wanted to do something different, and I wasn't doing nothing. So I was like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, and so the early days, I remember that we were very focused on, telling your story and stuff and getting your tell out. And then, once we kind of got to that point to where you had kind of felt like, hey, look, we'll tell more things as they come along, but I'm kind of wanting to get guests on. That's kind of when you went to your friends. And then, I mean, dude, we pulled Ricky Morton and Jerry Lawler like so early, Father James Mitchell too, but like, that's the two. Those are the two episodes that are like in my favorite episodes ever, but they're also some of my worst episodes ever because I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, neither one of us, I don't think we're really good at it at that point but then we, as we went along and we became friends and we found our groove. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we definitely found our groove. And I mean, that's kind of, that it did develop into a friendship. I mean, we knew each other a little bit from the Nashville scene, but it was very minimal. And you were doing your thing. And I just remember like thinking of this idea in 2011 when your co-author Gene Jackson was doing a podcast first time. And, I was like, man, that would be cool to do that. But anyway, we didn't get to that point. It waited until 2021 when that started. But, I remember coming up with the ideas for the name. I remember, if you remember, the worst one I sent you was probably Rapping with Wolfie D.
I don't remember, but yeah, that is pretty bad.
And you were like, I think we can think of something better than that.
Yeah. I actually wish that, because as we went along in it, not that I don't like that name, but it wasn't live and it wasn't in color. And so I kind of wish we would have went with like Bum Rush Your Mother or with Wolfie D or something instead of that. But I was thinking, okay, this is the line that a lot of people will know, but then it wasn't live and it definitely wasn't in color. So that was my foobar.
Which, came from the famous Nation of Domination song, man.
Right on.
Yeah. And you still haven't seen any royalties for that, have you? Unfortunately.
No. Other than, and I think I've said this before, is that, man, they might have got me on that, but then there's been numerous times in my life where they've sent me to rehab. I hadn't worked there in years, but they had that policy. If you have ever been contracted, there's a wellness program and they'll send you no questions asked and they pay for the whole shebang. And those things ain't cheap. And, I've been more than one time, unfortunately. Yeah. And I bet you that they have paid more money on my rehabilitation than I ever would have made in royalties for that song. So I don't guess I can be too mad about it anymore. I've kind of changed my take on that and tried to look at the bright side of it. You know what I mean?
Do you still get that? Oh, definitely. I mean, absolutely. That's the total bright side of it. And that's very appreciative to see that. But do you still get some of that surprise mailbox money every once in a while?
Man, I hadn't got one in a long time because, so the only thing that I got royalties for ever was being on DVDs. Nobody buys DVDs anymore. Matter of fact, just the other day I was thinking that I was at Walmart just kind of killing time because Michelle was a couple of gimmicks up there getting her nails done. And so I'm like, I'm just going to go walk around Walmart while you're doing this. And looking at DVDs and shit. And I was like, I don't even see not one WWF DVD, WWE DVD. Because there used to be a lot in Walmart, if you remember. And I mean, we're talking, hell, just a few years ago, I think. And I didn't see any. And that's when I was to myself. And it's funny that you bring that up because I was like, damn, no wonder I ain't seen a check in a while.
Seriously.
But no, I ain't seen one of those in a few years.
Man, I don't know. I just thought that must be nice sometimes, every once in a while, to go to the mailbox and see something with.
Well, the funny thing was, man, when they did come, it seemed like it was always at a time when I really needed it, and they weren't huge. I never got huge ones, but it'd be a little bit here and there that shit, that'll pay the damn light bill, and I needed some money right then, and it'd show up. It was always on time.
Vince is looking over your shoulder, just saying, "Hey, buddy, hey, Wolfie, you need this, buddy."
Yeah.
Okay, longtime listener Jamie Brumley asks, "Do you have any Dale Mann stories?"
Is this a rib?
I'm just ripping. Jamie, though, man, you can always count on Jamie to ask a question about Dale Mann, right? So I'm just looking back on funny stuff. No, I mean, talking about the good times of the show, man, because we had some amazing guests. I would love, if it's not going to hurt your brain too much, because it might hurt mine, give us like a top 5 favorite guests of the show, in your opinion.
Man. I don't even know if I could narrow it down to 5, really. I mean, White Boy, obviously. And we loved having Joel Deaton on. His stories were great. It was very cool having Nikita Koloff on. God, man, I can't even remember everybody we've had. I mean, I so many of them, man. And some are my friends,
Yeah.
Golly, man. Jamie was always fun to have on.
Yeah. Chase was entertaining.
Chase was very entertaining. Hell, Sam Houston was entertaining.
He was, man. Yeah.
That shit was wild.
I know, dude.
I mean, we've heard some doozies, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you basically just mentioned all my list. Jamie, Dirty White Boy, Tony Falk, Joel Deaton. I mean, dude, Perry Saturn, that was huge, man. Yeah. Nord, can't forget Nord.
And the people that did it for me, that because you remember, near the end too, I was going, dude, I'm running out of friends, man. I'm running out of favors, and which was true. But then we had the ones that. Larry Zbyszko, like I think we talked about that. I may have met him before, and at WCW or something, because he would have been commentating, I believe, at that time. But I mean, I just called him up, started talking to him, and it was that, once you're one of the boys, and you're kind of bonded, no matter what. And he just did it just because being a nice guy. So we had some of those. Then, like I said, we had my friends, we had people that Captain Nick gave us for his conventions, and just some that kind of fell in our lap here and there that you picked out or found somewhere. And yeah, man, we had so many, and to try to narrow it down to a favorite 5 is kind of hard, because I had fun with all of them. The podcast was fun to me, and I don't want you to think, or the people think, we quit because it wasn't fun. I just think it run its course, and we were running out of ways to get guests and all that kind of stuff without repeating guests, because me, I didn't really want to repeat nobody, even though we did a couple of times because they deserved it. But just repetitive stuff, I didn't feel like was necessary.
No, I get that. Dude, listen to this run of guests we had at one point. Mm-hmm. So we had Dirty White Boy. This is July of 2023. Dirty White Boy. Then we had Ahmed Johnson, which, I mean, Ahmed's, that was entertaining for us, I mean, he's not like Dirty White Boy, so Tony Anthony, then we had Chase Stevens, then we had Reggie B. Fine, then we had Trailer Park Trash, then we had Flash, Trash, and Slash, then Kid Cash, and I'm just like, man, that was a great run of Flash, Trash, and Slash. That was one of the funniest episodes. If y'all haven't heard that, go check that out. But I mean, and then you had George South. What a great guy. That was entertaining. Always Downtown Bruno. What a guy, right? I mean,
right.
you got us Gangrel. Ronnie Garvin, George Weingroff, Derek King, Jamie Dundee, Part 2, all kinds of great stuff. I do want to say this because I do. Whenever I go into a project, and you know this more than anybody because you worked with me for that long a time, I don't know other than like the only way that I know how is almost like obsessive, if that makes sense. And it's just like I felt like the only way that I could, if we're gonna do something with this, I want to do it the whole way and do it to the maximum amount. And I feel like that was the only way I knew it, and that's actually a flaw in a lot of ways because it doesn't allow me to adapt on the fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has me so focused in one, and I think that's kind of where you and I differ on things because you have and probably this comes from your many years in the business, like you have the ability to adapt on the fly a little more, and you didn't take things to heart as much as I did. And that's probably, I have a lot of regrets about it all. And I'm, did we both make mistakes? Of course, we're not here to say that we didn't, but like, I'm just going to say that for my part of it on my issues, I feel like that had I had a little more of your thought process, maybe it would have been a smoother ride for you sometimes. But it wasn't always easy for me to take that mindset on because I'm just not built like that sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020, man. There's that, I don't know if it's a magic button. I don't know what the it is, but in order to make the money, because I know people probably think we made money on that show, and we made a little bit here and there, not hardly anything at all. Let's get that clear.
Please.
We were just doing it for the fun of it, basically.
Right.
And but there's shows out there that are some of the, from what I understand, top podcasts. Some of them I've been on, some of them I've just heard of. You can't tell me, you were just talking about the run of guests and then the quality of our show and just the way it was, how people described our show as like a car ride, blah, blah, blah. You can't tell me that some of those shows, that our shows were not better than these ones that I'm referring to. And I'm not saying anybody name, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying I think there's a magic button, and we were unable to find that magic button because our shows are good.
I don't have that thought in my mind, but I do now. Like, I think I wish I found that magic button because we threw a ton at the wall. But the one thing that I thought that everybody commented on was our rapport, was our chemistry. You and I would never say that I'm a tag team partner, but in podcasting, I feel like you and I kind of got a little bit of that chemistry that maybe you and Jamie had abundance of. You know what I'm saying? And the listeners are just like, hold on, Jimmy, don't get too ahead of yourself, buddy. But what I mean by that, I don't mean it that way, but that was, and that's the one thing that, that's the thing that's hard to put in a bottle. That's you really can't find that. And I do think that developed as we developed into friends, but then what ends up happening is, my attitude of things and your attitude of things end up sometimes clashing because let me just tell you a little secret about Wolfie, okay? Wolfie is not really a person that you can go to and say, Wolfie, do this. He will if it makes sense to him, but not all of it makes sense sometimes, right? And it's not like you'll be like, hey, yes, I'm excited to do that stupid thing you're asking me to do. Sometimes you didn't want to say stuff that I try that. No, I'm doing it my way. And that made sense. And one of the things I got to mention before we get too far along is early on, I was trying to be the host. Okay. And I am currently the host on a couple shows, and I hate it. I don't feel like it's my natural place. I feel like I'm the Ed McMahon. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I felt like I was at my best in podcasting was when I was the Ed McMahon, because I could react to the funny things and stuff. But that's tougher when you have to take over the lead. And that's when I started Give Me Back for some crazy reason. And now it's doing well and I appreciate it. But you know, the whole rapport that we built over time, you know, I think people came along that journey with us, you know what I mean? And I think people heard that grow, and that was cool, you know?
And, you know, like I was saying about that magic button and stuff, and I think we learned, I don't really think it's based off of, I mean, of course, there's there was that list that was put out. We'd always be ranked high up there as far as number of listeners.
Sure.
So I know we had a good following, but again, I don't know what that magic button is where it starts. You get a check where you can do that all the time and not have to worry about anything else. But
I mean, if I were to start it over, and I don't mean to cut you off, dude, I'm running my mouth too much for the Wolfie D show here. So, but the one thing that I think if we could have somehow pivoted to video, I feel like that would have helped the YouTube out. So I do want to say something to you on the air here. So when the show kind of was coming to the end of things, you know, I was frustrated, and probably my biggest frustration, if I'm being completely honest with myself, was that I just couldn't get us there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if I look back into that time, and I look back, I do look back with a lot of fondness on it. And I mean, it was a blast to do. A lot of times, sometimes it was a pain just getting the guests, you know? The one biggest thing I think was my biggest frustration was that I could not see where that button was, and I couldn't, you know, we would get the advertisers with the Manscaped, the Magic Mind, and for some reason Magic Mind came back to us again, you know, and I appreciate all of those people, and I appreciate all those companies that came along. Benji Bowie, you know, he supported us for so long. Jeff Dino from Pro Wrestling Loot, Captain's Corner helped us get so many great guests. And your Eric Byford, he, you know, and all those people came on and helped us, and I appreciate them immensely, you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I think we did the best we could. Like I said earlier, I think we had a great show, and, you know, it's what it is.
And so when we decided to kind of wrap things up, we were going through some outtakes and stuff, and I'm gonna go ahead and say something here that I'm gonna own. I was listening to the outtakes, and I was kind of just getting sad about things, just thinking about the end of the show and just how we didn't cross the finish line in my mind, you know what I mean? And I was getting angry about it and frustrated, and I'm gonna own it all, because I can't. Nobody else should be able to dictate your. You know, if you're having a bad day, that doesn't mean I should also have a bad day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we talked on the phone, and I said some things to you that I regret. And I've since apologized for, and I'll apologize to you again on air, because I do. That was not me, and that was not me being a friend to you. Like I said, I had some frustrations with things, but in the long run, I think you said it best. You know, it wasn't a podcast; it was a friendship, and when it comes down to that kind of stuff, the friendship should have been the part that I was focused on more. And so that phone call basically kind of ended the friendship for a little bit. And you know, I'll just say for what I said and for what I did, I apologize to you. Like I said, I've already done that. You didn't even ask me to do this. I'm just saying, you know.
And I'm not, you know, that's why when that happened, I really didn't, I didn't argue back with you. I let you vent. I let you call me some names.
Yeah.
And I just hung up. And because I kind of knew what you said to me already. I already knew. I knew where your frustration was coming from, and I kind of knew it really wasn't me that you were mad at. I didn't think, and I still don't think that. I thought it was the situation, and that you were frustrated and just needed, I don't know, somewhere else to put it or whatever. So that's why I didn't. and like I said, and you're talking about some outtakes or whatever. I had a couple people tell me certain things that were put on the air that they didn't think were cool or something. But you know what? I just went, hey, it is what it is. He's not the first person that's ever done something like that to me. I'll be all right. He'll be all right. You know, life goes on. And I don't think I ever really got mad at you. I just was kind of, my feelings were hurt. And that's just how I felt about it. I was just like, man, I hated that it ended like this after, you know, because hell, me and you had conversations on the phone off air that were, you know, very personal stuff that I very much considered you my friend, and I still do. But it was just, it's unfortunate, but it's life, man. You know, hell, me and Jamie made up. It's all good, man.
Yeah.
You know, me and Jamie just did a little convention up in Ohio, man, and he was there, and he was on point, and we had a talk in the hotel room, and we actually had a little bit of a talk before we even got there, but and the same thing, I knew why he was mad. I was very much 100% correct on why he was mad, but then I think he understood my point of it all too. So, you know, it's life, man. It's the wrestling business too, man.
Yes, and that's what's funny is I've probably learned the majority of the most of the wrestling business from you. I thought I knew a lot about the business, but I didn't know anything. You know what I mean? And I think that's natural. But you know, the tons of frustration and that kind of thing. My biggest regret is that I just let it. I should have said my apologies. I should have said what I felt about things sooner, and kind of squashed it sooner, because I'm just of the mindset that negative breeds negative. You know what I mean? And positive, so many positive things. I mean, I don't even know if I want to say this because it seems so out there and braggy, but you know, when our show ended, I had so many people come to me wanting to work with me because of the show, because they, you know, were like, hey man, you know, you're somebody we want to work with. And that just blew my mind, man. Yeah. I had no idea that people listen to like that. Like, I had no idea people thinking, man, Jimmy would be cool to work with. Wolfie would be cool to work with. Yeah. And I mean, I know you've done a ton of podcasts since, and, you know, and so things have spun off well. But my biggest thing, man, is there's a few things I wish I could take back, and that phone call is definitely one of them. So
I appreciate the apology and everything, and on my end of the things that I did to get you to that point, I apologize for. But again, I'm not mad about it, and honestly, I was never really mad at you. It wasn't that I was mad. I was more just kind of hurt my feelings or whatever. And I'm not saying that for sympathy to you or to anybody. Listen, that's just what I knew better than to get mad, because, as I said, I knew where it was coming from.
Yeah.
But
well, anyway. I appreciate that.
You're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
I'm wide receiver Drew Bennett. As a professional football player, I'm always working to stay on top, so I surround myself with other pros, people on top of their game. That's what I love about Franklin Motors. The great service, the experienced staff, and a titanic selection of cars. Come check out Franklin Motors for yourself.
Your car is waiting for you at Franklin Motor Company, 3823 Dickerson Road in Madison.
I just want you to hear something. So on episode 88 of this podcast, Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the guest was Chase D, Brian Bearden, great guy. We brought him on to talk about his dad. And it was just at his dad, Bobby D, the referee. Yeah. Anyway, it was just at the very end of this show. It's June 5th, 2025. And this was what I said to the listeners about the end of the show. So I want to play this for you real quick if you got a second. All right, here we go. So I guess, obviously let's start off with this because I know people are probably maybe listening a little bit for this, not to be too egotistical, but after 4 years, 200 episodes, and absolute great run of shows, Wolfie D and I have ended the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Ran its course. It was getting harder to kind of pin down guests and certain things like that. We've had so many great people on the show that honestly, you might even say we ran out of guests. But, I just want to say thank you to all of the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling listeners who listen to the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. I would hope that you enjoyed them as much as you've enjoyed our show here. Love you, Wolfie. Hope you're well, man. And we'll see you down the road, brother.
And when was that?
This was June 5th, 2025. So
is that when we ended?
Yeah, well, it was right at kind of the official end. I think that's when we made the post.
It feels like it's been longer than that. It's not even been a year, really.
I know. Well, I started doing the outtake shows, I think in April or something, but yeah, I mean, it's still, but so we got it in under a year. I got my apology in under a year is what I'm saying. No, man, but I wanted you to hear that.
I never knew anything about that. So yeah, nobody told me about that. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just felt like it was something I needed to say and put out there. And I mean, dude, that show, it was my identity. And, it was a funny thing that you said that it was funny. And I think I might have included it in the outtakes, and that might be part of it. But was that Jimmy, what was it you said? It was so funny, actually. I'll find it. I'm Jimmy's meal ticket or something. That was really funny. And I know you meant it as a joke, but it was just funny when you said it. But anyway, so the end of the podcast, like I said, dude, we had a great time. I have so many more positive experiences than a few negative, I look back on that show with so much. And the biggest thing, man, is I learned how to be a podcaster during that time. And I really came out of that, and people then at that point considered us podcasters. And that's cool, man, because, it's easy to fake being a podcaster. There are some very good fake podcasters out there, but it takes a while to become a good one. And when people say you're a good one, it makes you feel like you are. And I'm sitting here sounding like I'm claiming I'm a good podcaster, but I'm not. But you know what I'm saying? I think we got good at it for a minute. But the cool thing is, that spun off into your book. And I know you brought it up earlier, but friend of the show, Gene Jackson, longtime podcaster, I remember talking about this while, we were still doing the show. You got an opportunity to get the book going. And that had even been something that you said you didn't want to do. But I think once you got the opportunity and you really put your mind to it, you're like, I think that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. And then so it ended up, I didn't go with the original people that contacted me about this because I found out some things that I didn't like about the business end of it. And I figured I could basically do it myself, which I did. I don't mean without Gene. I'm talking about the publishing part. I just published it on Amazon myself to cut out the middleman. And I knew that the two people, not bad guys, but I knew that there was some overcharging going on and things like that, and I wasn't going to get what I would rightfully deserve. So anyway, I ended up doing it myself, and they had already found Gene, and me and Gene kind of figured this out together. And I said, hey man, this is what I'm going to do if you want to stay with me. But the thing that was so good about Gene helping me with this, getting me started basically, was Gene knows my career. You know what I mean?
As good as you do.
Yeah. And probably better because he had to help me on timeline shit. He's like, nah, you did that, this, you didn't do that before that. Yeah. So when it came to that part of it, that was the biggest help that Gene was. He wrote, like the first chapter or two, he wrote it and he could write it in how I would say it. That's how well he knew Wolfie D. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
then the personal stuff, he obviously did not know.
Yeah.
So I would go in and add and subtract, and hell, there was quite a few chapters that I wrote my entire self. I would dictate it. Now, when I say Chat GPT, it didn't write the book for me. I didn't have to type it. I could dictate it, and it would put it in book form for everything I just said, and then boom, I'd copy and paste into the file that me and Gene were sharing. So yeah,
Dang,
and he
that's
laid
cool.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great, man. Because if I would have had to type all that shit, I mean, it's 330 pages, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have done that.
Yeah.
But
No doubt.
anyway, so then Gene laid out the table of contents for me as far as chapters. Chapter 1, and we'd come up with he came up with some titles. I think I kept most of them. I might have changed a couple, but and then added a couple too, because I was adamant about getting a certain number of pages, because I had seen some of the other books that came out and people were knocking the length of them and stuff. And I was like, dude, I want at least 300 pages,
We're
because that's
talking
a good
Bible. I'm just kidding.
yeah. I mean, I think I might have actually said I want at least 250, and we ended up with 330. So I was happy about that. But yeah, I mean, Gene helped me out kind of as far as an outline, and then writing some chapters for me. But once I got rolling, man, golly, you guys, Gene, I was sending to him, okay, I finished this chapter. Look through it, see what you think. I finished this chapter. Bam, 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 bam. But yeah, man, I poured my heart out into that book. I cried a few times going through all this stuff, because it goes through birth till yesterday, you know what I mean? Or the day before I put it out. And a lot of it dives deep. I don't shy away from the subjects of addiction. I don't shy away from, why I may or may not have lost a few opportunities. I tell the truth. And I think that's why, if you go on Amazon and read the reviews, I mean, that's a lot of the stuff they say about it. But yeah, Tale of Two Wolves is on Amazon. I think I got it at $16.99 right now. So
that's a great deal. I'm going to go get one myself today. So, and that's not blowing.
This is how good the book is. Okay. If this tells you anything.
Yeah.
Jamie Dundee texted me and said, Wolfie, because I gave him one when we went and did that convention in Ohio. And like a week later, he texted me. He said, man, I read your book in 2 days. He said, I couldn't put it down. It's great. And I was like, Jamie read a whole book about me? So if that tells you anything, yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, anybody who knows you, I mean, The Tale of Two Wolves, man, that is about a perfect name, and that should have been the podcast name. No, I'm just kidding. But did that just kind of come to your brain? I mean, it's a great story. You feed the wolf. That's the wolf that grows and becomes the dominant.
Yeah. And that was also too, when I was thinking, because I drew the cover of the book is drawn by me.
Yeah.
And I've got, on one side there's Wolfie D, on one side there's Slash. Some people that knew me, especially like say females, in relationships with, said, I was kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sometimes. And I always felt that like Slash was the evil guy, Wolfie D is the good guy. But then, yeah, and the cover also has, it's like a yin and yang, but it's actually two wolf heads, a white one and a blue one. And it just all started, I was like, man, yeah, two different me's and and then I always remembered that story, the old Indian, I think it's a Native American proverb type deal. Yeah, and it's which wolf do you feed? And I thought that's perfect, because throughout my career, I've fed both of them, and sometimes I've fed the wrong one. And even in the Jeff Jarrett, where he did my forward, I've actually got two forwards, Jim Mitchell and Jeff Jarrett. But even Jeff kind of puts it into words about how that was a good title and things like that. So yeah, it's I'm proud of it, man. I really am. And like I said, it's exceeded my expectations on what I would be able to sell.
You should be proud of it. Gene should be proud of it as well. It's funny that your two forwards are by Jeff Jarrett and Father James Mitchell, because it kind of represents the duality there too.
Yeah. I mean,
What?
there's so many of those throughout the book. And like you said, and not to toot my horn, but man, that title, it just makes sense, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to apologize one more time, and that's it for the show. Okay. So
Oh,
one more time. No, listen, I want to say one more thing.
okay.
That time when the book was coming out, I was still a little raw about some stuff, and I apologize to you for not supporting it more openly and publicly. I felt like that was kind of small of me, and I do want to apologize because Gene's my friend, you're my friend. I was a little sore with you, but it is what it is. I should have still supported it more, but you guys all should go buy that book right now. So I'd love to see a good bump after this episode drops. So y'all help it out. But you were bringing up the Hogan documentary earlier, and I actually wrote this down. That's what's so funny. The Hulk Hogan doc, they talk so much about the duality of Hulk and Terry. And that reminded me so much of Wolfie and Warren or Wolfie and Slat or whatever.
Yeah.
That reminded me, and I think that just must be a thing with wrestlers, especially if you go by a different name that isn't your name. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
you start to
also,
develop the character.
usually not exactly what it is in your real life with your family and your relationships and all that, because it's almost like it's almost like 24-hour method acting,
Yeah.
And so sometimes those lines can get blurred and you get lost in it. And I mean, I can't imagine being as over as Hulk Hogan. I can't imagine what that would be like. You know what I mean? Because you absolutely have to be Hulk Hogan pretty much 24 hours a day.
Yeah. I mean, at your highest peak of time in Memphis, when pretty much everybody was watching you wrestle on TV, I'm sure there were some times that it was kind of surreal walking around Memphis or Louisville or wherever, Nashville or wherever, and they noticed you and you're like, Wolfie D, that must be surreal when it's first happening,
Oh, yeah. Definitely is. It's still cool to me. I'm not one of those, wants to get mad about it or whatever, but I've always, because, regardless of how over you are or whatever, without the fans, you wouldn't be there.
Yeah. That's true. Well, speaking of this, so this is going to tie into another topic, but so recently, the one Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling episode that I loved having, it meant a lot to me to have, but if any of them had belonged on the Live and in Color with Wolfie D show, it was Paul Ellering. And when I got Paul Ellering, I gotta say, man, Wolfie should be here, like this just felt funny having Paul Ellering on. And I'm like, man, I'm just thinking like it would have been cool to have Paul on since you knew Animal and Hawk, you know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know that you've seen it on my Facebook, but when I went to Ohio, the night before the show on Saturday, there was a Legends dinner that had Paul Ellering, Barbarian, Stan Hansen, Tony Atlas, John Laurinaitis. I can't remember everybody that was in there. And I had told Bobby Fulton's son, Dylan, I said, hey, I'm coming up Friday, man. I said, if I could make that dinner, I'd love to be there for that. And he was like, sure, man. And so anyway, when I got there, I asked Dylan, I said, which table you want me to sit at? He was like, sit at Ellering's table. So I sat next to Paul Ellering, introduced myself, and we chatted it up for a while there. I showed him some pictures where me and Animal, where I hurt my arm and all that stuff, and we did the Dunes Day. And he's a hell of a nice guy, man. Got to sit there, listen to Stan Hansen speak up at the podium, and Tony Atlas sing the national anthem.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so I think I might have got a little better. Got to sit next to him at dinner and chat him up.
You did. You trumped me. I'll give you that. Totally. He doesn't even know who I am. So you know what I mean? But Paul, it was awesome. Like I said, it was an awesome episode. But exactly that's cool. I do want to talk about that. So when you were talking to him, did you just kind of say, hey, like, huge fan? I mean, because that's kind of how I was with it. I was like, oh my God, this is Paul Ellering. I mean, did you just?
I just said, "Hey, man, my name's Wolfie." Because I came in, I was wearing one of my PG-13 shirts. I had my PG-13 hat on and everything.
Yeah.
And because there was not just that, I don't know if I explained that correctly. There were fans in there too. There was supposed to be like one wrestler per table and then a bunch of fans at a round table. But our table ended up being me, Ellering, and Barbarian, and then about 6 or 7 fans. But that's the way it was at every table. It was mostly like 1 or 2 wrestlers, and then the rest were paid fans for this dinner, if that makes sense.
Dude, I'm thinking of Barbarian and Slash tag team managed by Paul Ellering. Keep going. Sorry, man.
And I did say to Barbarian, because Barbarian's another one I've never been around. And Ron Simmons had told me this story back when we were doing the Nation thing, that Barbarian was driving and Ron Simmons was in the passenger seat. And they've been doing a little gimmick, so Ron was in that zone they call stuck, you know what I mean? And they were getting pulled over. And so Ron, with his teeth gritted, he looks over at Barbarian. He says, "Tell him I can't talk." Like he was a mute. Like he couldn't say anything. And so I don't remember the end of the story, but the police come up and, Ron don't say anything. And they're telling him he can't talk and all that shit. But so I went up to Barbarian. I said, "Man," I just got to tell you. I said, "Man, I worked with Ron in WWE and blah, blah, blah." And I said, one of the funniest stories I ever heard was where y'all was driving and he might have, same thing I just said. And I said, and he told you to tell him you can't talk. He goes, "Oh no, I remember nothing. I remember nothing." He just kind of denied it, but it was funny.
Yeah, that is hilarious. And thank you for sharing that story. That's funny, man.
I mean, he didn't deny it. He smiled and he's like, "I remember nothing."
He's a big old boy still, isn't he?
Yeah, well, certainly.
So I did want to bring that up, and that's a good segue. See, we still got the old chemistry, man.
There you go.
Chillicothe, obviously you went up there with Jamie. Tell me about that story. Was it as eventful as the others getting him there?
Man, he was there before I was.
Wow.
Dylan called me. I was driving. I had a rental, and I was driving up there. I was still probably about 4 hours away, and I wasn't late. I was on time because I didn't have to be there until I think the dinner was at 7, and I was getting there about 5 or something. And Jamie was there. In natural Jamie form, though, he got there via some little old dude that I never met in my life. I'm not sure who this guy was, but he was somewhat of he wasn't outgoing and wild or anything, but just looking at him and just the way he talked, he was a bit of a character. Something that Jamie that's normal.
Yeah.
So he got there via some little guy, and like I said, he was there before I was, and he didn't come to the dinner, and it wasn't really supposed to. And then he was on time and everything for the meet and greet. That went fine. It was good, and like I said, me and him had hung out in my hotel room for just a few, not anything crazy, just sitting there talking was really about it, and talking about stuff and their life and all that mess. And then we were gonna, I guess Dylan wanted us to come to the ring with Enzo and we were going to do the Nation Domination rap. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, really, I'm going to be doing the Nation Domination rap because no knock on Jamie, I just don't think he might even remember. I could be wrong, but I knew we weren't going to be able to, run DMC it and throw it back and forth like we used to. I knew that wasn't going to happen. And so we'd either been just double doing it or Jamie would have jumped in every now and then and blah, blah, blah. So I was really relieved that somehow Jamie talked them out of that. And we actually just had to stay for the thing, didn't have to do the show or whatever. So, I mean, I would have done it, but it just seemed kind of silly. I mean, Enzo's over enough, and he's a rapper himself, and better than either one, me and Jamie for sure. And it just didn't make sense to really rap Enzo to the ring. But
Yeah, that would have been kind of cool, though. I mean, I remember when we had him on the show, and I brought up the idea of that to him because, he does have some Jamie-esque qualities. He's kind of like the blend of both of you. Like, he's Jamie in a lot of ways, but he's you because he can rap, Like, it's a blend. He's definitely a PG-13-ite, even if he doesn't even know it. You know what I mean? So,
and see, the original thing was that Dylan asked me because I guess he asked Jamie, and Jamie told him that Wolfie's the one that writes all the raps. Tell him to rap, or the idea was for me to write a rap about Enzo, like put him over and stuff. And I'm like, again, that really doesn't make a lot of sense to me for PG-13 to write this rap about Enzo when he's a rapper himself. And so I told Dylan on the phone before the thing, I said, how about, for nostalgia's sake, I said, because the way the people, especially in Ohio, are probably going to remember us as the Nation Domination rappers, how about we just do that rap and then Enzo comes out separately by itself. But anyway, didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Yeah.
But I had a good time, man.
I'm sure the PG-13 fans were happy to see you. I'm sure.
Yeah, we did good. I was kind of, because we never really did a lot of stuff in that area there, but I always forget how far Memphis TV was syndicated in a lot of places across the country that we never even went. And we did some national stuff. Obviously for a few companies, and we did good at the table. I sold all my books, and
cool. Cool. That's very cool. And obviously, is there plans to do some more signings coming soon?
I'm working on it. Actually, I'm glad you said that because I do need to make a phone call today about that. But we're open to it. If anybody's out there, I think. We were supposed to do something for Kroll. I think Jamie actually is going to the reunion. I don't know when this airs, but tomorrow, this is in real time with me and you. Tomorrow, he's going to that reunion. And then I think going to Kroll's show tomorrow night. But as far as, us being together, we were supposed to do that in January, and Jamie canceled on me, saying he didn't want to work with me. He was actually going to cancel Chahui, however you say that, and because he told me he didn't want to work with me. And then Bobby Fulton and his son, the art of the deal. I think they made it happen, and had me and Jamie talking to each other before we ever got there, and like I said, kind of making up and pleading, our case to each other of why he was mad and why I didn't think he should be.
Yeah. No, I mean, and sometimes you just need that nudge, and sometimes, like in my case, you just got to nudge yourself because nudge myself plenty.
Where I was going with that, I'm sorry, that he said, call Kroll. That's not the phone call I need to make today, but he's like, call Kroll and tell him I'll do it now. I'm like, well, really, since you're the one that canceled, you should be calling. So I don't know. Maybe he'll talk to him at the show or something. I don't know. But I mean, he's wanting to do stuff. I've seen him advertised on some things by himself because it's too quick for me. I mean, I can't just in a day's notice go, okay, I got to go, show off work, or because just like last time, I mean, I had to rent a car and everything. So
gotcha. Yeah.
I'd be glad to do it if I got some notice.
Yeah. So give them some notice. Hey, any of you all promoters and stuff out there, if you're wanting PG-13, it sounds like now's the time. So y'all get up in touch with Wolfie and Jamie. So,
and two USWA tag title belts these days.
Those are beautiful, man. Those are beautiful.
And one of them is actually made by David Milliken.
Oh, man.
Made it for me, specifically for me. And the other one was given to me by a fan because he said he just thought that I deserved to have it. So I have two USWA tag team titles that I've been, I took them to Chilhowie, and people were, excited to have their pictures taken with the belts. Took a picture with Marty Jannetty and the USWA.
I saw that. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Marty was another one I never met and I got to talk to. So
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I've never met him, so you've trumped me one more time. No, I'm just no, but those titles are great, man. It's cool, and I know you don't like to go too long. I'm not going to keep you too long here today, brother.
all
But
right. All I got to do is go to the gym today. That's it.
Okay. Well, I got one more thing I want to talk about here, and that is the action figures.
Action figure.
And so first off,
Yeah.
when you got this deal, I remember talking to you about when it was going on, you first starting to talk about the action figure deal. And slowly but surely, let me just say this real quick. That KWK company has become a very, very respectable deal because honestly, what I and a lot of people consider, I'm not a big action figure guy, but the Sheik is, my brother. They have slowly but surely become one of the better action figure companies during this time. They actually are putting out high quality. So tell us what's the status on the PG-13 figures?
August, September. Yeah. It was supposed to have been January. And I think he just had some bigger names sign up that he wanted to go ahead and get going or whatever. I think that's really what happened. But either way, I just did he had some kind of podcast that he had me and Jamie both, cut a little promo talking about the figures coming out. And like I said, I think August, September is where we're at right now. But they are going to... Now, this is still all pre-design phase and everything, but his plan right now, Sean, the guy that runs the company, is going to be, how they've been putting out like say, Well Done, I think has 3 different variants.
Yeah.
So I think ours is going to be one, but it's going to be, we're going to have Memphis attire and Nation of Domination attire all in the same package, meaning we'll have soft good, Nation Domination jackets. More than likely, we're going to have the USWA tag team belts, hubcaps, and probably the hats and the glasses and obviously the shorts and stuff. So ours is going to be a one package deal, but you get Memphis and Nation of Domination all in one is what I'm understanding and what I think the plan is at this moment.
That is awesome. That's
cool.
Yeah. Very cool. They can do so much with toys these days, dude. It's crazy. I mean, you got all these things, like you said, the hubcap, the title belt, the jacket. That'll be cool. So you'll be able to basically recreate the Nation of Domination, or you can get. So it's funny. You said the fan gave you the belt and said, "Here, you need this. You deserve this." Who was the first? Was it Jerry Jarrett or Lawler that said you deserve this first?
Who put the belts on us first?
Yeah, first. Who, I can't remember. Was it Jarrett or Lawler?
Well, the first time we won them, Brian Christopher had turned on Jeff Jarrett, and they were tag team champions. So we basically beat Jeff in a handicap match.
Okay, that's right.
I would say that Jerry Jarrett was the booker.
Yeah.
But we didn't have them long, so it was just to get them off them. It wasn't the start of no push or anything. The real person we both know is Randy Hales that made that call.
Right. Good point. Thank you, Randy. I jumped on a Randy podcast about a month ago, and he was like, "There's Jimmy the troublemaker." I was like, "Why am I a troublemaker, Randy? Come on, explain that." So he's still your boy, man. Randy's a good guy. I like Randy. So.
Well, what I understand, I've heard through the grapevine that he kind of got, and I do apologize, but I knew it was going to happen. On the Hall of Fame induction, I guess me and Jamie did not put him over enough for what he had done for us. And I know that I said his name because I had a list right in front of me of people that I wanted to mention. I got off on a whole different role when I got up there. And at the beginning of my speech, I said, I'm going to forget some things. I'm going to apologize right now. That's the first line out of my mouth. So it wasn't anything I did intentionally. I kind of feel bad about it. But again, like I said, it was unintentional. And I did say his name and thanked him. So, yeah.
That was a good time, though. I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun, that Hall of Fame. I appreciate you bringing me to that because that was really cool, man. I mean, you didn't bring me to it. You know what I'm saying? You didn't say, "Here, come on with me." But what I meant by that is you facilitated my opportunity of being there and got to be there with Ben, which, I got to give Ben a shout out. Love Ben Jordan. Y'all keep praying for Ben. But he did send send me the picture of your mentioning of me in the book. And so Ben has always been a very active person of trying to get you and me to be friends again. So I appreciate that. And I just want to say, dude, you didn't have to come on today. You could have said, nah, man, I don't, we'll just be cool like this. I don't need to do, and you did. And that's why I wanted to take the opportunity to, like I say, apologize to you in my opportunity. And I appreciate your apologies as well. But even though the podcast had ended and for just a little bit, we put a pause on the friendship. I'm just glad that that's not happening anymore. And I'm glad to be an active friend again. And I hope you feel the same way, man.
Yeah, man, everything's cool. Like I said, I don't believe that in my heart I was ever mad. You know what I mean? So
yeah, me either. I was just disappointed that we couldn't cross the finish line, and maybe we did. Maybe we did cross the finish line and we just didn't know it. We just couldn't figure out how to make money.
Just didn't finish in first place, but we finished.
Yeah, we did finish. Well, dude, I like I said, man, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me today and being open and honest and candid with me. And it felt good to have you on. I hope all of the Live and in Color listeners enjoyed this. If anything, this is the proper finish to the podcast that we should have given it. And like I said, I look for bright things in the future between us, man.
Yeah, man. Cool. Happy to be here, man. And,
all right, buddy. Thank you. All right. That was the one and only Live and in Color with Wolfie D. We'll be right back to wrap things up after these messages on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
CHW is continuing the legacy of historic professional wrestling in Tennessee with monthly events at the Armory in Ashland City. CHW owner Mike Green has made it his mission to present the best pro wrestling shows in the Nashville area, and he has been delivering the goods. CHW Wrestling combines all the elements that Tennessee wrestling fans have come to expect. Action, suspense, athleticism, reality, stories, surprises, and excitement, all delivered by the finest professional wrestlers this state has to offer. Follow CHW Pro Wrestling on Facebook for the latest news, announcements, and show dates. And subscribe to Championship Productions on YouTube to see past events like the Ashland City Rumble and the Valentine's Massacre. Fun for the whole family with delicious and affordable concessions on site. Witness the action and excitement of CHW in Ashland City at the Armory. Family Wars, Love and Hate, Championship Gold. A CHW event is everything you're looking for in a night of live entertainment.
All right, guys, we are back, and man, what did you all think of that one? Let me just say this. First off, thanks, Wolfie D. Wolfie, as he and I were explaining to you guys, we've been not necessarily not friends for a year, but we didn't speak to one another a lot. And part of this episode was to essentially, it's an olive branch. I don't want to go through life with enemies, Nobody does. I know he doesn't. I know I don't. So sometimes you just got to fix stuff. And that's what I hope we did today. If anything, he and I can leave this conversation knowing that, hey, look, we had a great time on the podcast and now we can be friends. And that's what I want. So thank you all for listening to that. I know it was not a normal episode today. This one was specifically geared towards, our time in the Live and in Colors Wolfie D podcast. And we'll get Wolfie on again. I know that can happen. in the future, maybe even his tag partner will come along with us too. Love to have Jamie on anytime. But anyway, for the Live and in Color with Wolfie D listeners, thank you all so much for supporting all that we've done through this whole time. But hey, if you checked us out for the first time today, go back in them archives. Check out some great interviews that we've had. I really appreciate it. But either way, thank you for being a listener to Live and in Color with Wolfie D. Thank you for listening to this episode today. I hope you enjoyed it and felt what we said to each other was sincere, because I know from the depths of my heart that it was. So that's it. We got it done. The final tribute to Live and in Color with Wolfie D. Thank you all so much for checking it out. Got a couple more things before we go. Of course, we always got to put over my buddy Pastor Rick Reynolds and his Gideon's Warriors Ministry. If you want to contact them or get them for your church today, email Rick Reynolds at icw2009@hotmail.com. If you're a pastor, a deacon, an elder, a church leader of any kind, and you like wrestling, these guys are perfect. They have great wrestling stories, and they also have incredible testimonies. So contact Rick today. One more time, icw2009@hotmail.com. Book them for your church today. To continue on, our buddy Ben Jordan, I just had report that he was able to join them at the Right Way reunion. Ben, we're still praying for you, brother. The fight isn't over, but you are the man to do it. So thank you so much for the ones that have already prayed for Ben. It's awesome. Thank you so much. But he needs them some more. So keep going with the prayers. We love you, Ben. Hope everything's going well for you today. And I hope you enjoyed this Wolfie D podcast, because what's cool is Ben was one of the guys that's actually been pushing, me to contact Wolfie. So thanks for that nudge, Ben. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next episode, guys, I can't spill it here. I'm never gonna. It's just how it is. But I will say this. If you want to find out as soon as humanly possible, go to @GMBMPW on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. Thank you guys so much for following, liking, sharing, supporting, all that so much. It means the world to us. But most important, thank you for listening. And if you're new here, if you're new to the show, if you haven't listened to an episode before, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. All right, y'all. That's all it is. So, for the one and only Live and in Color with Wolfie D and his co-host, Jimmy across the street, this has been Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling. We'll see y'all next time.
Don't forget.
Yeah. PG-13 Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2024. Give it up. Spaceman Jones with the beat. Here we go. The 90s was ours, and we did it with pride. 15-time tag champs, what a hell of a ride. Rock and roll couldn't beat us. No Tommy and Doug. Knox Mothers, dirty white boy who called themselves thugs. T is for terrible, H is for hell. Ha! PG both been locked up in county jail. The kid was real, and we were immature punks. Buddy Wayne couldn't stand us because we didn't wear trunks. We did it our way, in and out of the ring. Bought a real rap swagger to the Memphis thing. You can hate it, you can love it, we just did our thing. Still true to the game, now we Hall of Fame. PG-13, put respect on our name. Yeah.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
This has been a James Rock Street production.